So ADA is currently on a downtrend following on from the previous update where I mentioned how I was tracking the wave Y, and there was a possibility that the wave Y could tap into this range between 28 to 29 cents to then form this correction. And in order for the passivator to have tapped into this range, what we needed was for an internal 5-wave move to form the Y wave. And so I was on the lookout for the 4th wave during the time of recording to find support at the 20 EMA. And then we see a final push to the upside to then form the 5th wave, which could have then tapped into that range. But instead, the wave 4 ended up breaching below the wave 1 at 26.79 cents, and that then invalidated this 5-wave move, given that in Elliott Wave Theory, the wave 4 cannot breach below the wave 1. And so it looks like the alternative ended up taking place, where I also mentioned that it was possible that the wave Y could have topped off at 28.16 cents, given that during the time recording we were within the overbought conditions, and so there was a strong possibility that the bears regained control of the market and we got rejected at the 200 EMA, and then we saw this push to the downside. And despite seeing this push to the downside, there is a chance that we could still be bullish, given that this 3-wave move could potentially form the double wave, and what we are forming right now is a correction to form the X wave, and then we could see a fan push to the upside to form the Y wave. And in order for this structure to be valid, what we need is for the X wave to retrace anywhere between 50 to 80.2% of the double wave, and that region sits between 24.98 cents to 26.31 cents, and it looks like we ended up tapping into that range. So what we need is for the passivator to find support within this range, for there to be a strong possibility of this structure forming. If it just so happens that we exceed the 18.2% retrace level, that then confirm that we're bearish, and we will see a continuation to the downside, where the passivator will then tap into this range between 23 to 24 cents. And should that be the case, that could then form the Y wave. And from then on out, I will be looking at for the passivator to find support within this region to potentially complete the X wave. And what we'll see then is a reversal to the upside to then form the Y wave. And yeah, you can see that on the 4-hour chart, we are within the oversold conditions. And so there is a strong possibility that the bulls could regain control of the market. And for us to be bullish, what we need is for the price of ADA to break above the 20 and the 50 EMA. If we do manage to break above these two levels, the 200 EMA will also be one to be keeping an eye on. If we get rejected at that level, that can then signal that we're bearish, and we could continue to see a drop in the passivator. Now, looking at the 8-hour chart, again, you can see that the bears are slowly starting to lose the momentum, and we have tapped into the oversold conditions. And so, yeah, if we were to find support within this range, then there is a possibility that we could see a bigger WXY structure to the upside, where the passivator would then break above the local top. And zooming out, looking at the daily chart, we have been getting rejected at the 20 EMA for quite some time now. And you can also see that the bulls are losing the momentum. And so if we were to continue to get rejected at the 20 EMA, of course, that would then signal that we're bearish. And we could see this push to the downside, where the passivator could then tap into this range. If we lose this range, then this target between 17 to 20 cents will be one to be keeping an eye on. And worst case scenario, we could go even deeper and potentially even tap into this range between 10 to 15 cents. And if we do manage to tap into this range, then it's possible that that could then complete this Y wave, which in turn would then complete the correction, which is the X wave, and we could see a reversal to the upside to then form the Y wave, which has the possibility of reaching some high targets. But I think this will play out in the long term rather than the short or mid term. But of course, that's something I'm going to be tracking, and I will keep you guys updated.